but then you turn around and you're losing half of your gym, every couple of months.
We actually get ahead of that way in advance. One of the biggest reasons why people cancel as strategic interventions for cancellations.
This gym actually cares about them and their problems are going to get solved.
Hey guys, this is Christopher Hollingsworth with Motion Mentors, and I'm here today with Jimmy Davidson, also from Motion Mentors. How you doing today, Jimmy?
Good, Chris. I am doing good. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about, our topic for the day and get into it. So what are we doing today?
Yes, absolutely. So actually our topic for today is something I've been really deep diving and super excited about because it increases the amount of time that someone sticks around in your gym dramatically. And that is the shift for having your customer service be proactive rather than reactive. I think one of the things that has Freedom in Motion be an extremely solid service for people is we don't wait for problems to come up to solve them. We actually get ahead of that way in advance and can predict the problems that people will have in the future. And we get to them with specific touch points. So I want to talk about that for anybody that's listening so that they can dramatically increase the length of engagement someone comes into their gym for.
Yeah, absolutely. So length of engagement is the amount of time that someone is a member at your gym before they quit, which is obviously a huge important metric. If you're getting all these new clients every single week, your sales and marketing is crushing it, but then you turn around and you're losing half of your gym, every couple of months, well, you're never going to get anywhere. You're just going to be in this constant state of treading water. Furthermore, if your parkour gym or your parkour business really has a goal of teaching people, not just, come into the gym and get sweaty and it's a parking lot for kids, but you really want to teach kids this is parkour, this is the spirit of it, here's how it impacts your life. You want to teach adults and anyone in your gym that these skills can shift your life in this way. Well, that takes time, and you need to have your students in the gym for a certain amount of time for them to actually have that real impact. And really, you got to think about those systems involved and what are the things causing my members to cancel? How can I get ahead of that? What are the touch points along the way that I can hit to deepen someone's relationship with their own experience of training parkour that if are missing, they never get it. And they never want to be in your parkour community. They don't get the juice that you got when you first started, Chris, or that I got when I first started, Chris. So when you think about the client journey, the experience of someone as a member with you that whole time, when you think about that, there's a lot of really important customer success, customer service touch points in there. And so, all of that.
And actually, just, you're bringing up such an amazing point too. And I think most gyms, including our own, were really good at the initial part of customer service, which is, as a problem comes up, I can totally solve that. Someone's upset or someone got injured or someone has a pricing issue. As those problems come up, I feel like most people already are able to deal with those very well. But it's exactly what you're talking about, those critical touch points where you can actually get ahead of issues that cause people to cancel the most. You can get ahead of that right away, save them at that critical point where they would have canceled and they stick around a lot longer. And not just that, but also the critical points where you're building excitement with people and you're creating the habit with them of really wanting to stick around and wanting to participate with you. So yeah, those critical touch points are key. And just to walk through that golden timeline for anyone listening, you really want to make sure that within the first 7 days of someone participating with you, you're going to call them and confirm their excitement with them. Oh, how's it been? Oh, that's great. And is there any other things that I can help you with? Just that one touch point within the first 7 days can make a huge difference to ensure that they're sticking around for a while. Then there's that 30-day mark where you begin to make the habit with them. They've now come in possibly 4 times or 8 times. depending on the membership that they have with you. And then you're checking in with them an additional 30 days past that point. So now we're at 60 days to check in on their progress and to ensure that, they're seeing the benefits and the difference that they want to see. And we've actually seen, because we track cancellations, not just at our gym, but across the world now. And we've seen that one of the biggest reasons why people cancel, one of the biggest reasons is because they don't have visibility into the progress that their kid is making. And so this 30 and 60 day check-in that you do with your member success calls literally provides the visibility for them about their progress, possibly also gives them an opportunity to ask about the progress so that you can articulate it. Now they have that information and they're not going to want to cancel because you've confirmed that benefit with them and that they're actually receiving that value.
Yeah. So you're talking about client onboarding. You want to give them a call here. You want to make sure that they understand what progress looks like over here. So member success, which is what we call it at our parkour gyms, everybody listening, that's like how we make sure members have a successful time with us. That's our member success department. It all does start with that onboarding. And onboarding a new client starts right exactly when that sale has been made. They pick their membership and they swipe their card. They're a member. And in our book, $1 Million Parkour Gym, we actually get started talking about member onboarding right on page 88. It says right here, new member onboarding. So not that I'm going to read you the book right here. We're going to riff about it. But it does start with right after the sale, we give them something, Chris. We give them a bag called our welcome bag. I for sure memorized what was in it. Chris, do you remember what was in that welcome bag?
There's a wristband. There's a guest pass. There's a schedule, an upcoming schedule. There's a t-shirt and there's some stickers. And there's also how to participate in the community, some information on how they can access their account, how they can change their membership, how they can contact us if they have any questions, and kind of just what to expect as they're beginning their journey of participating with us.
Yeah.
Anything I missed?
I think you nailed it. Nice shot.
Sick.
Yes, you can hear that there's a couple goodies for the student, so that the bag is fun, immediately. But for the parent, like you said, there's that page that says, this is how your membership works. This is what you should do to enroll into classes. Here is the app that you get on your phone. And then after we go through that with them, the sales team literally goes through that with them. We make sure that they get the app on their phone, and then we offer to help them register for their next class. Because we've seen that is one of the first filters. It's just frustration because I don't know how the gym works. I don't know how this stupid app works. Like mind body is a nightmare, or whatever your gym's, they're all nightmares from the client perspective, your gym software. So if you can help them get past that first week and know when they're coming back, hurdle number one, totally overcome. And then they got to actually show up to the next class. And then 1 week later, we give them a call. Chris, do you remember what that call was all about?
Yeah, I mean, that call is really an excitement confirmation. You're confirming that they're coming in and they've been welcomed to your gym and welcomed to your community, which is why it's important that the person that's reaching out is a culture add and is someone that reflects the core values in your company, the people that are making these calls, because it really is just to say, hey, thanks for being here. We're excited to have you here. How did it go? What was your favorite part? And here's how to participate with us in the future. Yeah. Anything else you want to say about that first call?
Yeah, that's really it. Like, do you know how to register for classes? Do you have the thing? Is there any obstacle already in your way? If we can solve anything that's already frustrating them, that's going to be huge. And then just setting them up for success, in their next couple of classes. A lot of times just random questions will come up, like totally off script questions, which is good. Now that's a chance for whoever's calling them, which might be the head coach, it might be the general manager. It's a chance for them to start building that relationship. Like when you're in the gym, I am actually also here to help you, and I'm here to help you here, digitally, also over the phone. And then one piece of the script that's kind of conditional, it either happens here on this call or it happens on the next call, the 1 month call, is if that member is really excited They're really stoked about it. Their kid loves it. That is an opportunity to ask for a friend referral. Oh man, like little Timmy loved it, is already talking about this with all their friends. Did you know your membership comes with a guest pass where you can get a friend in for free to a class or even our parents' night out, which is like a 3-hour thing every single month? Which friend do you have in mind that you want to bring next week? And just
Ugh.
write them there. Now you've just doubled,
That's so perfect. Yeah, and you're bringing up kind of like two really important aspects as well. So for anyone listening to this call, you've now equipped your customer and your new community member with how to participate with you and also how to contact you if they have any issues. Now you can hear we're proactively getting ahead of any issues they could possibly have at that 7-day window. Any friction that they could have about scheduling or about how to participate with us, they should have already come across that. So you're able to resolve that. Now, it's very important, now that you've equipped your customer with how to get a hold of you, that you have a central help desk that ensures that nothing falls through the cracks. You really want to aim for, and this is difficult to do. This takes, and by difficult, I mean you need your attention on it. You need to talk about this with your team members. You need to create your systems and your documentation around this. You need to make sure that everywhere a customer could interact with you, whether it's your phone, your text messages, the app, anywhere they could possibly connect with you, you are checking that and you are ensuring that you're responding within that 24-hour window, and your staff is trained to handle 80 to 90% of what could come up. And if not, they know to escalate that to a general manager. And a general manager knows if they can't handle that, they escalate that to an executive. And the point is that absolutely no question and no attempt to get something resolved by a member goes unanswered. That's the whole point. So you equip them with the system, and then you ensure that you are actually managing and checking the system. Nothing will burn trust faster with you and a customer than some sort of unreturned or unresolved communication. That has to be a baseline. Anything you wanted to say about that, Jimmy, that ticketing system, that help desk portal?
Yeah. So a help desk is kind of a generic industry term for like, is it software where help tickets, when clients email you, they're like, I need help on a thing. That's a help ticket. Software where that is organized. So there are actual software that you can use that's specifically for having a customer service team. And you can go low tech. You can just go and make like a unique customer service email that's like help@yourgym.com or hello@yourgym.com. And then you have one team member, or you have specific hours of the day to check that, so whatever level of technology you're doing here, the point is that there should be an easy, reliable communication channel for one, them to get a hold of you, where they're not just sending an email to your catch-all email or calling you off hours. And for sure, no one answers when there's no one there in the gym. If there's no system, it's not going to get managed. And then you're going to have frustrated clients. If you do have a system and you do have someone accountable for checking on it, and they have scripts, they have policies, they know what to do with a refund, they know what to do if they get a hold request or they left their water bottle at the gym or whatever, and you have someone managing that and someone accountable for providing that good experience to your customers, that's just one more layer of defense that you have about retaining your members and comfort that they have that this gym actually cares about them and their problems are going to get solved. So that's a help desk.
Yeah. And that's the win right there, because you're not only ensuring that they're sticking around longer, you're increasing your arm as well, the average revenue that you're collecting by the member as the length of engagement is increasing as well. But also, and I love that you touched on this, at Freedom in Motion, we really embody and attempt to embody and put a lot of attention on being that third place, where we're positioning our gyms as a trusted community hub. It's not just work. It's not just school. Like this is a community that they belong to. And so this type of proactive customer service is going to transform people's transactional relationships into real community bonds. And that's why I think, member success calls can actually be, and this is for me personally, as someone that makes these calls, this can be one of the most fun and fulfilling and rewarding aspects of your accountability, because you literally are connecting with people. You're connecting with people about what they're dealing with, and what the reason why they would cancel with you oftentimes is like a life circumstance, like someone's going through a divorce or someone's going through some sort of health emergency. And so you're connecting with them empathetically, not just like as you're part of your job, but as part of their community, so that you can really lean in and serve them. And we have options at our gym where if you are dealing with something like that, instead of just canceling, oh, I lost my job, I no longer have the money. Now you're on the phone with the general manager or the head coach that doesn't want to lose you as a community member and will possibly scholarship you for that quarter until you find a new job, or put you on hold so that, you're now not paying a new fee to restart your account. But instead of just silently having that happen and falling away into the background, we're now proactively reaching out, seeking those issues, seeking what could possibly be in the way of you participating, and getting ahead of that so that that doesn't happen. That connection right there is what transforms a gym from just being a business into being a community hub. Anything you wanted to say about those community bonds, or how that helps with keeping people around and really authentically creating what we're up to here, Jimmy?
Yeah, you learn a lot from your clients when you talk to them, which is crazy. They tell you what's working about your gym. They tell you what they love, what you might double down on, what you might emphasize in your coaches training, what you might put in your marketing is what they're telling you that they love. Oppositely, they're telling you what's not working. Your schedule doesn't work. This coach consistently shows up grumpy or stinky or yelled at my kid or whatever. So you can get these things that you can emphasize or fix, and your customers tell you quickly. Your customers are honest with you when you have that relationship with them, especially when you've been consistent. Like, this is the umpteenth time you've talked to them, and they kind of know you on more than just like, I'm the guy calling you from the company level. Now it's like, there's a face to it. There's a name to it. I have personally taught your kids in the gym before. I saw you through your divorce last year, and now I understand that about your family. Well, they'll give you that feedback when that connection has been made. And so we call them once a week later after they sign up. That's the first call. We call them a month after they sign up. That's the second call. That call is very similar. We're making sure that they have all their technology, all their things set up. They know, any questions, any problems they have, we solve them. We do for sure try to get a friend referral on that call. And then we call them once every 3 months into perpetuity, forever. And then on those calls, those 3-month calls and beyond, then start to feel like goal setting calls. We're not onboarding them anymore. Now we are deepening their relationship with their community at the gym, with their experience at Parkour. We're helping them set goals. We're asking how their past goals went. And we're listening for what else we can prescribe to them. For example, if they are stuck in a level, they've been stuck in level 2, they just cannot get bar kips or cannot get whatever move, insert move here, that might be your chance to prescribe a private lesson. That might be your chance to prescribe going to an open gym where a coach is going to be working it and they excel at teaching XYZ skills. You might actually ask them to try this day and time, or try this different class type, or even come more often, right? So you prescribing them in a way that actually helps them could actually make you more money too. So those are the 3-month calls. So we have 1 week, 1 month, 3-month calls ongoingly. Anytime we can't get a hold of someone, we're sending them an email, sending them a text message, letting them know that we called, inviting them to talk to us in person at the gym. So that's sort of the framework for how we create this with our members. And then we have that software that you mentioned, Chris, the help desk on the background, just always being ready to catch whenever someone needs us. So we have on-demand service as well.
Yeah. And, you brought up something really critical too, which is people are going to very willingly, usually when you reach out and you ask, people will just offer up what isn't working for them as a client. And so I think that's also a really key point here. which is that you need to make sure that your staff are really comfortable with engaging with that which is unworkable with their clients. Like be hungry for it. I come across a lot of leadership that are uncomfortable, or they avoid, or they kind of tiptoe around the unworkable aspects of the client experience with the clients. They tend to focus on, what do you really enjoy? What are you getting out of this? What's fulfilling for you? And that feels good to hear. But what's most useful is actually really finding out what isn't working for them and what they want to see more of, and then ensuring them that you're going to attempt to provide that value to them. That value is what's going to have them stick around. And, Jimmy pointed out the kind of the roadmap for, like, here's our 7 days, our 1 month, and then our 3-month ongoing check-ins that we do ongoingly. And luckily, if you do those check-ins, you will actually already get ahead of the largest drop-off points for customers in a gym. If you look at clients' tenure and length of engagement, like how long they stick around, there actually are drop-off points that happen on average. And if you have these calls, you can actually relate to these calls as strategic interventions for cancellations. So if you are already doing them at this frequency, we'll already get ahead of that. But you can take it a step further. You can be even a little more intelligent about this. And you can look at your specific client base's drop-off points. And you may notice, wow, people stick around very solid until this 3-month mark, or until this 2-month mark. Whatever it is, you start to notice that drop-off in their tenure. Then what you do is you create a strategic intervention with your member success calls. And again, this is being proactive rather than reacting to all these cancellations. You're aware of that, wow, that's a weak link in my client journey at this 28-day mark or this 30-day mark. I'm going to specifically put a call in at the 22-day mark or at the 20-day mark, 10 days before that common drop-off point. And I'm going to see if I can intervene with that cancellation and provide that look into the value of having them cancel. And in that way, member success can become a very intelligent system that has you keep your members for far longer than if you were just reacting to the drops.
Yeah. If you look at the data, you'll probably notice something like, if I can get my client past 3 months, it's way more likely that they'll get to 6 months. If I can get them past 6 months, it's like almost guaranteed I'll get them to a year. But you'll notice also that you'll have these filter points, like you just said. I can't get most people to that 6-month mark because they're dropping off right here. And then you can zoom in, and that's when talking to your people helps. Like, that's when we ranked up from level 1 to level 2. And then we had this coach, or the class times switched to these times. And you can just see, like, consistently it's not working for whatever. So yes, you can intervene with strategic calls or strategic events or strategic bonuses. You stay for 3 months and you get X, Y, Z. But you can also intervene just by fixing the problem that you accidentally created with your schedule or with your lack of training or your lack of systems. So I think having an eye on those filter points is critical, as you said, Chris, and does a huge amount of work for your LEG. Okay, now I think we've created sort of the basket of what member success looks like. Oftentimes the next question is, well, who does the work? We have some gyms in the program or in our community that it's really just like a solopreneur, or they have 1 or 2 employees. So who does the work in that case?
Yeah, and that's a great question. If you're a small team of 1 to 5 people, obviously, if you're the sole owner, you want to be aware of something called multiple outcome conversations, and you want to train your staff in these conversations. And just to answer the question directly, the general manager or the owner of the facility is the one that ultimately is responsible for the member success. A person that you save from canceling is as good as a registration. So if you have a person that's driving the growth of your gym, you also have a person that's driving the retention of your gym. And this largely is a retention conversation. So it falls on the GM, it falls on the owner, but that's tough. That's tough. So what I recommend doing is you actually want to train your team in every single interaction that they have with people. They're doing something called multiple outcome conversations. And that is as simple as it sounds. Every single conversation that you have with a person has multiple outcomes. One of the outcomes possibly is that they're informed about events that are coming up. Another possible outcome is that any issues that they're currently experiencing as a member are known. And even if your coaches just have the ability to ask, oh, how's that going? Have you had any issues logging in? Do you know about the upcoming price change? Even if the coach isn't equipped or have the time to deal with that, they should be equipped at collecting that information and then getting it to the person that does have the time and can make the difference. So if you can equip each of your staff members with the ability to collect this information, points of resentment, points of friction, bids for connection, wanting to know how their kids are doing and progressing. If you just are all aware of that and you're kind of seeking that out in every conversation, and your committed lines, this is an interesting one. I call these committed lines of speaking and listening. So, and that just means if people know who to go to about what in your company and you have that system set, suddenly your coaches are informing your head coach about these issues. Your head coach bring those issues up to the general manager in their meeting. The general manager knows to talk about it with their front desk sales staff and their executives. So short answer is, hey, if you're the general manager or the person that is responsible for driving retention in your gym, this falls squarely on you. The long answer is this can be a shared accountability that really, like, if your whole gym, if part of the culture of your gym is collecting this information, being curious about this information, and genuinely trying to serve our customers, it becomes a shared load and a shared burden. And again, all culture is repeated actions that are taken by a group of people. So if your group of people, your staff, are repeatedly taking the action of collecting this information and then moving it up the channels, suddenly your member success and your customer service dramatically increases, and it doesn't all fall on one person. What do you think about that, Jimmy?
Yeah, I think you're totally right. Having shared accountabilities. So, if you have a head coach or a coach that's hungry for more hours or more responsibilities, this is a great task to give them. Let's say you got 100 members, right? You could make one person responsible for checking all of that, or you could divvy like 25 of these members are your members, this particular coach. You check in on them. Here's their schedule for getting calls. And you can divvy that workload amongst the staff who are asking for more hours anyway. And that's only going to deepen their relationship with the students, especially if they are doing those goal setting calls. They're going to have those goals directly in their head. They ought to be taking notes and things like that also. So you can divide it amongst your staff. You could have a dedicated team that's, working on member success related things. That's appropriate if maybe you have two locations or you have a large singular location and it's just like a ton of people to manage. Then you might have someone who you've put in the role of member success, manager or something. Maybe it's part of your management team. They each have different hours allocated to monitoring the inbox or the help desk, or they have their list of calls they need to make in their CRM. You've used your sales CRM that you can make different pipelines of tracking who to call and when. So you have a system of actually tracking who your members are who need calls at those different intervals. You can do that in the Motion Mentors CRM. I think that one thing that gets in the way of owners launching the system, especially if they themselves perceive that they have to do a lot of the work, is the time. The story of, I don't have enough time to do this. We actually saw this question come up recently in our Parkour June or Parkour Business Owners group. Someone asked, what are the things that I should delegate first? How do I hire? I don't have time to do this stuff. And the answer was essentially the value ladder. The value ladder is, imagine a literal ladder with rungs on it. The bottom rungs are the jobs, the roles, the positions in your business that are important. They're all important, but they're not really worth that much per hour. For example, sweeping the floor, not worth as much per hour as selling a membership or coaching a great class. So if you, the owner, are feeling overwhelmed and you don't have enough time, customer service, really immaculate customer success, and keeping your members for longer is more valuable than sweeping the gym floor. So you might look at that and say, okay, well, hiring a janitor might be $15 or $18 an hour or whatever, or I can just have this coach do it for that many per hour. I'm going to hire them to buy back my time so that I can go up the value ladder to this new higher rung and spend the time that I just bought back doing a higher value thing. And that higher value thing might be generating, $20, $30, $50 an hour in value back to you. And that arbitrage, that difference between what you just paid to offload your lower work and what you're gaining on this higher work, that is the value created by you using that concept of how do I get rid of these lower level tasks to focus on that higher level stuff.
Especially when you think about if you're doing targeted interventions and you've done the work and you're like, wow, if I can just get someone past this 3-month mark, they're going to stick around for 9 more months on average. So that one call, depending on the membership that you have for that person, that just earned you, something like multiple thousands of dollars because you got them past that 3-month mark. And now they're going to end up sticking around for another 9 months. And, that's also, you brought up something that's so critical as well, which is who do I delegate this to? And if you look at the purpose of a parkour gym, at least for us, we don't care. We don't care at all about someone just coming in and buying a membership. We don't care about that. That's not what our company is about. Our company is about sharing parkour with someone in such a way that they come to value it as we value it, or equally, with 1 million people. We want that to happen with 1 million people. Now, if I'm a head coach, who I am as a head coach for my business is when a person walks into my gym and there's some kid that is addicted to their tablet. Mommy can't even go to the bathroom for 5 minutes without me feeling separation anxiety. I have no sense of achievement. My head coach looks at that kid and they're like, that kid's a comp team athlete. That kid's a future coach. That kid is, the next big person that's going to be doing crazy flips and crazy jumps. That person's a community member. They see this kid that walks in and they see the journey for them. Now, as a head coach, these calls are me checking in on and stewarding that person's journey. It is literally, it's that important. It really is. So I'm calling them and I'm like, oh, here's your progress. Oh, you've been here for 60 days. How are you on the checklist? Let's get you to level 3. Let's get you to comp team. Let's get you shadowing classes so you can join our work trade program. Well, member success calls are the future of your business, and you can delegate that to someone like a head coach whose job is to view every single client that comes into your gym as a future. So they're talking into that future. They're taking action as that future. So it really goes so far beyond oh, we got to call people that have been here a week, or we've got to call people that have been here for 30 days. No, dude, this is you keeping this person in your community. They're going to talk to you 10 years from now and say, hey, remember that call that you made to my mom, just checking in about me and seeing how I was doing and expressing excitement? It's because of that call that I'm a coach here with you now. And that is a real experience that we have had at Freedom in Motion. We have several coaches that are here as a function of that work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful stuff. Okay. So back into the book, the value ladder, there's a whole chapter about it, about climbing the value ladder and how to delegate. So that's chapter 8. So if you have a story of, I can't do this because I am spending too much time doing whatever, read that chapter in the book. It directly shows you how to ascend. And then as you make that progress, well, the very next chapter, chapter 9, is all about creating those roles and creating that accountability amongst your staff. And it does talk about the member success accountability in there. So it's all right there for you. If you can't see the vision for how this can fit in your gym, we've talked about it. I personally went through that, like, this is a lot of work, but I've got to do all these things, and had to go through that step by step as well. So let's talk about, what are your actionable next steps. You're a gym owner, you've got members, but you have no member success. So let's review what to do and give you the steps in order. Number one, think about your client onboarding. As soon as the sale is closed, that first month, I think, is probably the most important month. If they don't figure out how to use your gym software, if they don't figure out how to register for classes, they don't know what your schedule is, they're going to get frustrated and they're going to quit. So right away, launch an onboarding process where right when they sign up, you explain to them how it works, you give them a call a week later, you disappear any initial problems that they're having, and you make sure that they know your software, they make sure that they have your app or whatever, they know how to enroll for classes, and they know how to get a hold of you if something breaks. That would be my step one. After that, you want to really make sure that you have a clear way for people to get a hold of you. You might stand up a help desk, right? And just search help desk, and you'll find plenty of softwares for that. Or you might just stand up a specific customer service email, some dedicated communication channels so that they can get a hold of you. And then on the back end, you yourself either have times every day that you check this help desk and you know how to respond to it, or you make a staff member accountable for checking that. And then you supply them with the operating procedures, the written, here's how you reply to someone who needs X, Y, and Z. You don't leave it up to them to just make it up off the cuff. You provide them with, this is how the gym works. This is how we help members. This is the playbook, the written documentation for that. Those would be my first two things. Chris, let's say those two things just happened. What would you next add into a Parkour gym?
Well, definitely the relevant staff that need to be trained in those systems is a huge next step. So equipping your frontline staff, and I, as the business owner or gym owner, possibly am like an expert on this system because I just made it, and so I know how it works. Now you want to ensure that the people that are actually onboarding your clients when they make the sale, we talked about that welcome bag that we had earlier. Your staff is trained in that, and you are clear that your staff is trained in that. Then there's the system of, once you actually have your help desk set up, you've got to establish your frequency of checking that, and some way for you as the owner, if you're not the person that is solely responsible for checking that help desk, you need to ensure you have some visibility into that work being done. Okay, whether that's, you have a frequency where you go in and check it, you have a meeting with the person that's responsible for checking it. And if you're the sole accountable person, you better make sure that you've got something in place to make sure that you're responding within that 24-hour window or getting darn near close to it. Whether that's a notification in your Google Calendar to pull up that tab and look at it, or whether you have multiple layers of accountability where, you're the owner, you have a general manager, you have a head coach, and the three of you are saying, yep, let's handle this proactive system. Here's the frequency we're going to be checking it. So those are the two next big things you really want to do once you actually have established your client onboarding and your help desk center.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the impact on the business? To know that this is the next place you really need to focus is to look at your churn rate. Your churn rate is what percentage of members have canceled last month. That's a good one. And then looking at your length of engagement. How long were people members before they canceled? If your churn rate is, here's like red. If your churn rate is 10% or more a month, that is red. You have a problem. You need to focus on this now, actually, before you do any new marketing or new sales. You need to fix this before you bring new people into the program, or else they're just going to have a bad time. Yellow is anything between above 5 and up to approaching 10%. That's yellow. I would say 8 and 9% is like getting pretty orange. Anytime in there, when you're orange or above, it's time for member success. If you're at 5% churn, well, that's green. That's pretty good. And it's hard to achieve, frankly, once you get up and past 150 members. If you're below 5% churn, you're doing great. If you're like down around 2 or 3, that's like the mythical, very hard to achieve retention metrics. A lot of times gyms, when they're one location, so the owner is still physically in the gym, like doing all the things, juggling all the relationships, knows everybody's names. Maybe there's, sub 100, sub 80 members. That's when it's super achievable to get, 3% churn rate. If you're in that position and you plan on being in the gym less, maybe you have like a baby on the way, or you just, you want to focus on growing the business so you can't be in the gym physically all the time. You then might want to start implementing these systems before you remove yourself, and then have your eye on that churn percentage and you have your eye on your length of engagement. And you'll be able to see the dial. If as soon as I leave, does our churn and everything just jump up a giant step? Well, then you know that your systems might be lacking and it was all relying on you. You had some key man risk. You were like that key stone that was holding everything together. So removing you kind of toppled it over. These metrics can help you know if your strategy and your systems are helping replace you as the business owner.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's so important that for anyone, no matter what you're doing in your company as the owner and as the business owner of it, you really want to make sure that any system you make where work is being done, you have visibility into the work being done. Any column that I have a specific column on my dashboards called work visibility that actually shows, here's where you can see that this work has actually been completed. I've done a lot of work to ensure that if a notification or if a customer is handled, that automatically alerts me that has been done. And I actually track the actions of my general managers, how many missing members they have contacted, how many outstanding bills in this month they have resolved and attempted to resolve, how much money that earned our business. Whether or not they have checked the help desk ticket, their frequency of checking the help desk ticket center. I also look at their response time, how quickly they handle customer issues. And if anything goes past a 48-hour window, it immediately becomes out of compliance. We're no longer in compliance with that department. Now, I'll tell you guys this as a last really critical tidbit for anyone listening. It's a lot easier to maintain this work and do it ongoingly, the work that there is to do week by week, handling customer service, rather than trying to do it all at once from never having done it. Okay. Or you're catching up you made the system, 3 months goes by, you don't really do much about it. Now you're jumping back into the system. So it can be a mountain of work, what we're talking about, or it can be 30 minutes to an hour per week, so, and by the way, the pain point of handling that 3 months of work you didn't do is so much more severe than the slight discomfort that you endure from making sure that every customer's concern is handled in a timely manner. So please, whatever systems you have, create visibility into it, create that frequency, manage the work ongoingly so it's digestible, and don't let it stagnate or die, because then your customers will, and your length of engagement will, and your churn will skyrocket.
Okay, so how can Motion Mentors help? We can help you get your systems organized. We already have all the documentation for what does this job role look like if you have a member success person, or if you split it up amongst your head coaches or your other staff. We already have these systems documented. So we're here to help give you those templates and customize them with you. We already have that client journey viewpoint of what happens at those different milestones. Where are the filter points where people like to cancel, and what are we doing about it? What are we recommending to our client gyms? We're here to supply that with you guys as well. We can tell you exactly what to put in your welcome bags, exactly what to put in your scripts, can help you set up a help desk style system in the CRM or in your email provider, whatever it is. We are totally here to help you guys. So whether it's something about your churn or your length of engagement, your member success, or something else somewhere else in your business, whether it's staff training, getting new clients, whatever it is, that's what we do. And member success and member retention is at the heart of what we really want to affect, because we know that when members stick around for a year or 2 years, that's when they join your competition team. That's when they get to your higher levels. That's when they show up to outdoor gyms. That's when they become your coaches. And that is when Chris and I uptick our number of people that we actually were able to impact with the work that we're doing. And that's when we get one person closer to that goal that we have of introducing 1 million people to the joy and like the juice of parkour. And we can do that through your gym when we help set up these systems. So if that's interesting to you, head to motionmentors.org. You can click book a call and talk with me and Chris directly. And we also have a lot of free content, free blog articles talking exactly about these things: member success, the value ladder, role delegation, employee training. There's a ton of this in the book already. So Motion $1 Million Parkour Gym, just go to the book tab on our website. And this is also for free on our podcast. The whole thing is in audio format. You can listen to right now. And that's us putting our money where our mouth is. We really want to make a difference. We don't want money to be an obstacle. So all this is for free for you right now on our site.
Awesome. Yeah. And I'm sure you could hear throughout this whole podcast how passionate we actually are about these systems and about supporting you. We really want to empower you to make the difference that you want to make, because we relate to you as extensions of our mission, which is to share parkour with 1 million people. And you having your systems be really solid and having people stick around longer totally is just helping us to solve our mission as well. I'm sure if you're still listening at this point on the call, you've heard it can be a mountain of work to actually look at and implement and delegate these systems properly, so you have visibility, so you can step away, so you can climb the value ladder. And we make that an entirely painless process. We've already made the systems for this. We've already made the documentation for this. And if you're working with us, you already have 2 humans who will train your whole team in how to manage this. And we can see all of the gaps that it took us years to find out what they were. Now we can zoom into any gym's currently existing system and find those gaps for you. I was talking about those strategic interventions where the largest average drop off in your customer journey is. We're very fast at being able to zoom in on that and then actually provide you the skills and tools that you'll need to actually have those strategic interventions, so those people that are dropping off consistently in your gym stick around a lot longer. So thank you, Jimmy, for your time today on this call. And for anyone listening, I hope this was valuable for you in the way that it's valuable for us. And please reach out to us if you have any questions or you'd like any support implementing this. You can always book an hour-long free call with us just to even see if we could help you identify some next steps. We're really committed to supporting you in that. So thank you. Thanks for having me here, Jimmy.
All right, Chris. Thanks a lot.